Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Please go ahead and leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. This is the biggest way you can help me out and the channel. If you're new here, I want to say welcome, and if you're YouTube, this is a satire channel, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Now, all that out of the way, let's see what we got today. We are live.
Mythical Artifacts Part 2, The Seal of Solomon. The Seal of Solomon is a magical ring that has the power to command demons and speak with animals. Legend has it that the name of God is engraved on the ring and was given to Solomon directly from heaven. This ring was made from brass and iron and was used to seal written commands for good and evil spirits. A hexagram is engraved on the face of the ring. With this newfound power, Solomon commanded the demon Asmodeus to build his temple. Solomon used this ring to summon demons and learn their hierarchy, names, and abilities. Solomon received 4 jewels from 4 different angels that gave him the power to control the elements. This is where the Infinity Gauntlet comes from. Once the temple was completed, Solomon sealed 72 demons and buried them under the temple. When the temple was destroyed, these demons were released back into the world. Next, we have the Hand of Glory. Like and subscribe for part 3.
Okay.
What if I told you this has ties to this, King Solomon's temple? So who was King Solomon? Well, King Solomon was the ancient king of Israel and is known for building this temple. But just so you know, there is a really interesting story behind the construction of this temple. So according to tradition, Solomon made a seal that would be the mark of his holy task force. So basically he created his seal, which was made up of a pyramid with an inverted pyramid to form a symbol. And the seal of Solomon, which is represented by the Moroccan flag, is often depicted in the shape of a pentagram. And now this makes sense. According to this legend, the possessor of this magic ring could command demons. And that's what Solomon did. In fact, he used it to obtain the help of the demon Asmodeus. And what's interesting is this ties into this story about Hiram Abiff, who was the chief architect of King Solomon's temple. In fact, when they graduate to the 33rd degree, a ritual is done to symbolize his unaliving. Stay with me for part 2 as I dive even deeper. But tell me what you guys think. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like and follow for more.
It's starting to get interesting.
Solomon is the wisest, richest man to ever live. He had a lot of wives, and he was marrying like the Queen of Sheba and these different queens because he would absorb their territories by doing it. Solomon is a foreshadowing of Christ who denied the offer. Solomon said yes. He had all the kingdoms of the earth, which is what the devil was offering Christ. Solomon is building the temple, and a worker comes up to him who's also like a family friend, and he's been tormented by demons. Solomon goes to war in the spirit against this demon who's attacking his friend, and he prays that God would put the enemy under his feet. God answered his prayer and sent an angel down with a ring. That ring gave him power over the spiritual world. He claimed that he used the authority of the ring to summon all the principalities of the world, the Nephilim, that are these disembodied spirits going around causing all this illness and different things. He interviews them as to what they hate, what casts them out, and what angel is over them. If that angel comes, they'll flee. Michael or Raphael or whatever. He writes all this stuff down, and this becomes witchcraft. Burn the gallbladder of a fish over an open fire in the month of June on a full moon or whatever. That became a spell, which is where witchcraft comes from. He would enslave them to build the temple of God. The Masons come out of this as well. One of the highest ranking demons that Solomon enslaves to be a worker in the temple, he makes him a stone cutter and a mason. And guess what he trapped them in? A brass vessel, a lamp. This is where the legend of genies comes from. Guess what they did to trip up Solomon? Now he's being tempted. If you want to marry the queen, I think it was the Queen of Sheba, you have to worship Moloch. He resisted at first, but then the lust got the better of him. He sacrificed to Moloch, and he said, I immediately felt the Spirit of God depart from me. And then he said, as I continued to do it, I felt it completely abandon me, and I became the sport of the demons I once controlled. Spent the rest of his life tormented by demons. And so he comes up with all these spells he wrote. Basically became a sorcerer in order to ward off the demonic world, which is now at his doorstep. And so he gets into all this heavy witchcraft to try to force the spiritual world into submission because he has no authority from God anymore. Solomon was using names on the list. He was mapping out the hierarchy, and he would go to the highest highest name on the list to control all the things under him. Guess whose name's at the top of the list? Jesus. Solomon is an archetype and a cautionary tale of what happens when you don't have the authority of Christ. Christians now can do what Solomon did, tell demons to flee, heal people, all this stuff, greater things still, because of the authority of Jesus Christ and the ring, which is the Holy Spirit, and the name above all names. And that's why we say, in Jesus' name.
Did you know that the Manitoba Legislative Building was designed as a replica of the ancient Temple of Solomon? Here are a few of the design features that reveal this to us. There are sphinxes that flank either side of the triangle over the main entrance. On the chest of each are hieroglyphics beckoning the sun god Ra to give life to something in the building, while in the center is the symbol of Pharaoh Thutmose III. The pharaoh lived 3,500 years ago and is widely believed to be the founder of Freemasonry. In virtually every room in the building, you can find the numbers 5, 8, and 13. The repetition of 5, 8, and 13 is a reference to the famous sequence in math, the Fibonacci series, where the two previous numbers add up to the third. In the ancient world, the series of numbers geometrically was considered a proportion in the mind of God. So by replicating that proportion on earth, you're basically drawing on God's heavenly power into the design of things. There are 13 stairs in the 3 flights of the main interior staircase, 13 stones in the archway, 13 lights in every hallway, and the bison flanking the steps are each precisely 13 feet in length. The black star in the main floor of the building and the focal point of the rotunda beneath the dome has 8 points and is 13 feet across. The Pool of the Black Star, as it is known, is built in such a way that if you stand dead center of the star in the middle of the room and whisper, anyone else in the room can hear you as clearly as if you were speaking right beside them. The number 666 also appears throughout the building. The length and the width of the building itself are both 666 feet. The room that houses the grand staircase in the middle of the building is exactly 66.5 feet in length. So 666 and 66.5 feet in width. There's a depiction of the Ark of the Covenant, supposedly where Moses placed the 10 Commandments, on the roof above the east entrance. It has been sealed, and requests to open the Ark have always been denied. Who knows what's in there? And the famous golden boy on top of the legislative building? He's actually Hermes. Hermes was a guide of souls, and he knew the secrets about the mysteries of the world, alchemy, numbers, astrology, and geometry. According to Winnipegger Dr. Frank Albo, who's written a book about the Manitoba legislature entitled The Hermetic Code, Unlocking One of Manitoba's Greatest Secrets, the Manitoba legislature was built according to the layout of the ancient Temple of Solomon. But is it haunted? Well, let's just say, is it any wonder that the Manitoba Legislative Building, the building designed as a temple, has different ghosts that have been spotted wandering the halls?
I think the big question is, why would you want that in Canada?
Here's what they've been hiding about the Statue of Liberty. The creator, Frederick August Bartholdi, wasn't just an artist but a key Freemason, involved in layers of secrecy far beyond what the history books say. In the late 19th century, a hidden compartment in another Bartholdi sculpture, the Marquis de Lafayette in Union Square, was found, revealing his old journal. Inside were cryptic entries about his initiation into a secret society and receiving directives from shadowy figures commanding him to embed symbols into La Liberté. What was the real purpose behind these symbols? But here's where it gets even more mysterious. Reports from multiple groundskeepers over the years tell of suited figures entering the statue during rare moments when the torch flickers, a signal or a meeting. This has led to wild speculations. Are there hidden chambers within this iconic monument? And if so, what secrets do they hold? Could this towering figure of liberty be a watchtower for a powerful few? While these claims might seem outlandish, the pieces fit together a little too well.
Interesting.
This is the 2D image of Statue of Liberty on Google Earth. Somebody told me that I need to watch I Pet Goat, so I looked it up, and let me show you what I've seen off of it. It has to do with the Statue of Liberty here. Well, yeah, of course I went to Google Earth to see if this was real. Check this out. So, check this out. Seal of Solomon sits over the Statue of Liberty when you line up all these points. When you line up the points, it finishes off the rest of it. See that? Watch closely. And in the middle, just like everything else, it says RAM. RAM. And do you see how the outside circle fits these points? Just look, it's all made for the shit. It's all made for it. This is who runs the show, man. They own this country, and we're too stupid to see it. But, check out what else. See the shadow here? Now, Google plays a part in this crap. Google Earth. They hide images. Now, check this out. So now we know the Seal of Solomon fits over the Statue of Liberty perfectly and made for it. Here's another Seal of Solomon that actually fits in there. I don't know, are those breasts? I don't know what's going on there, but whenever you line it up, as above, so below, when you line it up on that center line, watch the shadow that Google Earth leaves on the Statue of Liberty. Is that a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? Leave a comment.
I don't know what to say just yet. Oh, right. Plug time, guys. Just wanted to let you know I've launched my t-shirt line a couple of weeks ago. I got some really cool designs in there. Everything is designed by me. Go ahead and check them out if you're interested in a cool gift for somebody, or you're just looking for something for yourself. You know, I got something for everybody. So, like I said, link is in the description. Go ahead, check it out, and let me know what you think. But now, that out of the way, let's get back to the video.
The Statue of Liberty seems to be getting weirder and weirder. People have found that there seems to be something huge lurking under its pedestal. The media, with curiosity, finally found a message from the statue's designer in 1889. But when faced with the initial interview by reporters, the designer said he knew nothing and that he had only modified it according to the request of the then U.S. president and had been modifying it for 4 years before finally completing it. The designer did not understand why the U.S. government wanted to constantly enlarge the base, because it seemed meaningless in terms of aesthetics and solidity. But not until 1949, with the exposure of a confidential document, did the whole thing. The truth began to slowly emerge. A strange code name under a confusing text, vaguely written to provide an entrance for nutrients, install an engine, and achieve the final departure. Then there was a leaked design of the interior of the statue, and from it, people found some terrifying things. First, a huge engine was installed at the bottom of the base, then the statue's feet were inexplicably fitted with a row of strange pulleys, followed by a narrow entrance and a huge staircase that did not fit in. However, in the middle of this huge room was a strange drain, and finally on the left side of the engine was a huge waste storage room. Time came to the summer of 1954, when thousands of people complained to the government that Ellis Island was emitting a nauseating stench, and one woman named Eleanor's remarks were even more exaggerated, saying that Ellis Island was terrible. The whole place was filled with a slaughterhouse-like smell. Dead animal carcasses were everywhere. Once, she even saw officials lining up to take a group of people into the statue at night. Then they would lock the door and leave, and the next morning it was as if nothing had happened, except that the smell was more obvious. In August 1985, people first photographed the statue undergoing strange changes. The statue began to slowly move to the right, and something strange seemed to appear in the base. Finally, after an investigation by the local government, they claimed that there was once a mass grave there, and said that if your family, if you disappeared on the island between 1949 and 1954, you will receive a government compensation.
You still don't know who the Statue of Liberty actually is? You still don't know what that light she's holding represents? And you just think that pose is accidental? And that we're not living in a time past the 1,000 years when Satan is released from his prisons to go out to deceive the nations? Well, you might not know the time period we're in, or who that statue represents, but I know someone that does, and they're trying to send us a sign.
A sign that maybe this time of evil we've been living in for a long, long time is coming to an end. A sign to get our discernment ready, because towards the end is when they're going to try their hardest to deceive all the nations and all the people. So it's time you make a decision and decide what side you want to be on. But just be careful, because it's a decision that might last you an eternity.
This is intriguing to me, because I could believe it.
Mandela effect that has to do with the Statue of Liberty? I just checked some Google usage stats that blew my mind. If you take a look at them for yourself and type in, when was the Statue of Liberty placed on Ellis Island? Here's the results. And this is pretty recent. The first peak is around 2013. Then you'll come over to the right in red and type in, when was the Statue of Liberty placed on Liberty Island? Nothing. That's the results. Nothing. And this led me to something even more peculiar. The Black Tom explosion. I don't know about you, but I was never taught anything about the Black Tom explosion in school. So early on in the war, the US decided not to take part, but still proceeded to provide the British and France with munitions. Well, this pissed Germany off, so they sent agents over to the US, and they caused the largest non-nuclear explosion in history. They blew up a train with a bunch of munitions on Black Tom Island next to Liberty. She would sustain a lot of damage. This is when they banned going into the pedestal.
Freemasonry is a highly controversial order. It has been subject to a multitude of conspiracies and speculation. Masonic lore expresses that the origins of the organization can be traced all the way back to the construction of Solomon's Temple, a very important event in religious conversation. Let's explore this idea. So the central character within this Masonic belief is Hiram Abiff. Hiram Abiff is accredited as the chief architect who worked alongside Hiram of Tyre. Hiram Abiff is not directly mentioned in either the Bible or the Torah, but we do have mention of Hiram of Tyre in the first book of Kings or the second book of Samuel. Masonic legend tells the story as follows. The construction of the temple is very long and strenuous. Hiram Abiff was demanded to reveal his esoteric knowledge as a master mason in order to expedite the process of the construction. When he refused to do so, he was killed in cold blood. This legend is seen as a ultimate expression of courage and solidarity, and Freemasons look to emulate this behavior. So much so that upon initiation, these events are routinely reenacted by members of the organization, and I just so happened to see a video the other day which shows this process. So here's that.
Right, Master Hiram Abiff, I'm glad to see you. Give me the secrets of a master mason instantly, or I will take your life. I will not. What? Still persist? Then
I see this as a very interesting example of how scripture continues to shape the course of humanity and will continue to do so until the end of our days. Thank you for watching this video. Follow my account for daily theological discussion.
A lot of connections.
Solomon Bar Isaac then contacted the Pope and said, for my doing your will, I now have a request of you. I want the Dome of the Rock, the Islamic Dome of the Rock, as my home. I think this is something you can do for me. Say to the world that this is my home, that I own it. And the Pope says, okay, it's your home, you can have it. So consequently, Solomon Bar Isaac now moved into what we call the Dome of the Rock, and that was his new home, the highest ranking Masonic Knights Templar general. And therefore it became known as Solomon's Temple. No, it's Solomon Bar Isaac, the Knights Templar general, not King Solomon. There was no King Solomon. There was no Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There was no Moses.
Well, I don't know what to make of all of that. There could be some connections there. Just some food for thought, just for entertainment purposes only. We're just going through some stuff and we're just checking it out. And yeah, let me know what you guys know about the Ellis Island and Liberty Island though, because I'm not from New York. Did they change the name of Ellis Island to Liberty Island? Is it a different island? This is where I'm a little confused. If somebody could just drop a comment in there and clear that up for me, really appreciate that. But yeah, that's all I got today, guys. So, you know, leave a comment, we'll get into it, we'll discuss like we always do, and we'll see where we go from here. Like always, if you can debunk anything or disprove anything, that's always welcomed. It helps us find the truth and weed out all the garbage. So, Yeah. But I guess I'll see you again in the next one, guys. And until then, 80 Canadian, signing off.